You're the point guard, the floor general, the engine, the brain, the heartbeat of the team. But behind the title lies a job that drains you mentally, physically, and emotionally. Every dribble, every decision, every split-second read, that's all you. You miss an open man on the wing, that's on you. Your center fumbles the ball, it should have been a better pass. The offense looks out of sync, you didn't control the tempo. It doesn't matter if the mistake wasn't yours. If you're the point, you're the blame. See, you're the floor general. And that word general doesn't just sound cool. It means one thing: leading under pressure. In the military, the general is the one who has to keep it together when everything's falling apart. They're not just shouting orders. They're the calm in the chaos, making fast decisions and owning every result. Now take that same idea and put it on a basketball court. You're the guy, the one running the show. You're watching everything: defenders, cutters, screens. You call the plays. You control the pace. You decide when to speed it up, when to slow it down. On TV, it looks smooth. Flashy passes, crossovers, floaters. But behind the scenes, you're carrying every mistake. The moment you touch the ball, all eyes are on you. Coaches are yelling for you to control the game. Teammates are expecting you to know what they're thinking. Fans want 20 points, 10 assists, no mistakes. And if you don't deliver, suddenly you're too small, too soft, not built for it. And that's just regular basketball. Now imagine trying to do that in the NBA. See, a point guard in the league is a whole different story. It's like going from driving a Honda to a Ferrari. Sounds fun until you hit the gas and realize it's too fast for you. That Ferrari, that's the NBA. Everything moves fast. Your timing's off. The passes you used to make, not there anymore. The reads that came easily, gone. And the defenders, they're bigger, faster, stronger. You can't just rely on talent now. That's not enough. You still have to lead, still have to be perfect. Only now, you're doing it against guys who've been in the league for 10 years and know every trick. Being a point guard looks like a dream job, but it's one of the toughest, loneliest spots in the game. And if you're not built for it, the game will build you up and then break you down. The most obvious problem is size. The average NBA point guard is about 6'2 and a half. Sure, that's taller than most people, but it's still shorter than the overall NBA average of 6'6 and a half. So right off the bat, you're already at a disadvantage. If you're 6'1 like Trae Young, you're probably the smallest guy on the floor 90% of the time. And defensively, that's a nightmare. You might be a beast on offense, but teams will target you all game because of your size. And that's a big reason your defense might struggle. Doesn't matter if you can drop 30 and 10, if you can't hold your own on defense, you're a liability. Most of the time, you're the smallest guy on the court, playing in a game that's dominated by giants. So, to make up for the lack of size that guys like small forwards or big men have, you have to be the smartest and most skilled player out there. There are exceptions, like Russell Westbrook or prime Derrick Rose, guys who had insane athleticism to make up for their size. But for most point guards, like Chris Paul, Trae Young, or Jalen Brunson, it's all about IQ and skill. The problem is that those guys are the exceptions. Most point guards don't have elite physical traits and the IQ and skill to balance it out. So, you end up in a kind of hell where you're stuck with one or the other. And that's where most point guards live. In high school or college, you might have been able to coast by on athleticism. But in the NBA, these are grown men. One missing skill can be the end of your career. And then there's the mental side, maybe the hardest part. As a point guard, you've got to run the show and carry the most responsibility on the team. You're the one making sure everyone's on the same page and the offense runs smoothly. That means knowing all 5 positions, calling the right sets, watching the shot clock, reading traps, and making split-second decisions while being hounded by elite defenders who know your every move. You can have all the physical tools in the world, but if you can't process NBA defenses fast enough, defenders will pick your pocket, turnovers will pile up, and your decision-making will be too slow. And within a few seasons, you'll be out of the league. Not because you lack talent, but because you couldn't keep up with the mental demands of the position. When you look at the NBA victim list for this, the examples are everywhere. Guys like Emmanuel Mudiay came into the league with size, speed, and confidence, But he never figured out how to read the floor. His turnovers and poor decision-making kept him bouncing from team to team until the league moved on. Dennis Smith Jr. had a 48-inch vertical and a first step that could break ankles. But once defenses learned to sag off and bait him into bad reads, it was over. From lottery pick to bouncing around as a backup in just a few years. Tyreek Evans, Rookie of the Year, averaged 20, 5, and 5 right out of the gate. But once teams started loading up and forcing him to make complex reads, his impact dropped fast. He relied on physical tools, and when those started to fade, so did his career. And then there's the pressure. As a point guard, you're expected to lead. You've got to keep everyone happy, make sure your teammates get their touches, find the shooter in rhythm, feed the big man in the post, and still be a scoring threat yourself. What makes it worse? When you do everything right, nobody says a word. That's your job. That's expected. But the second you mess up, one turnover, one bad read, and it's all eyes on you. You're the problem. Look at Lonzo Ball early in his career. He was constantly judged not just on his play, but on whether everyone around him was thriving. If Ingram didn't get his shots or Kuzma wasn't getting touches, fingers were pointed at Lonzo. And if he scored too much, people said he wasn't a true point guard. Take Jrue Holiday as another example. Despite being one of the best two-way guards in the NBA, Holiday faced constant pressure to be the perfect floor general. Even after winning the title with the Bucks, when the offense wasn't flowing, people looked to him for answers. But when things went right, it was Giannis or the other stars getting the spotlight. Even Mike Conley Jr., one of the most consistent, low-drama floor generals of the last decade, was often blamed when the offense stalled in Memphis. He could drop 20 and 10, but if the Grizzlies lost, it was, does Conley have enough alpha in him to lead this team? This is what comes with the position. You get the blame before you get the praise. Being a point guard isn't just about doing what's flashy. And when things go wrong, they don't look at the shooter or the big man. They look at you. The game doesn't wait for point guards to figure it out. You either adapt or die. The only ones who survive are the outliers. Guys like Steph Curry, who changed the geometry of the game. Guys like Russell Westbrook, who imposed their will physically. Or Jalen Brunson, who worked on every tiny skill detail to squeeze every ounce out of his 6'2" frame. But here's the crazy part. The point guard position wasn't always like this. Once upon a time, being a point guard meant one thing: pass first, everything else second. You brought the ball up, set the offense, got your teammates involved, and maybe took a mid-range jumper if nobody else was open. Players like Bob Cousy, Magic Johnson, and John Stockton were the epitome of the traditional point guard role. They had insane court vision, were masters of playmaking, and could score when they needed to. Cousy won 8 of the first 11 assist titles in the league, and Johnson led the league in assists 4 times. But as basketball evolved, so did the expectations of the point guard, transforming this position into a multi-dimensional role that demands a whole new skill set. Today, scoring is just as critical as playmaking. That shift became obvious in the late 1990s and early 2000s, thanks to players like Allen Iverson and Stephon Marbury. Iverson, with his fearless scoring ability to take over games single-handedly, changed everything. His quickness and shot-creating ability earned him 4 scoring titles, and his style inspired a new generation of point guards who combined slick ball handling with the ability to light up the scoreboard. This new approach made point guards the focal point of offenses, running pick and rolls to either score or open up opportunities for teammates. As the millennium turned, a new breed of point guards emerged, blending traditional floor general skills with scoring threats. Players like Jason Kidd and Steve Nash led the way, controlling the game while also making major contributions on offense. They were experts at finding open teammates, knocking down outside shots, and making the right decisions under pressure. However, in the present era, point guards have fully embraced and even expanded upon this hybrid role. Guys like Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, and Stephen Curry have taken the position to new heights. They combine exceptional ball handling, shooting, and playmaking skills, making them lethal threats on the court. These guys are masters at running the offense, scoring from anywhere on the court, and stretching defenses with their long-range shooting. Their influence on the game goes beyond just traditional playmaking. These modern point guards have transformed the position into one that threatens defenses from virtually anywhere. But here's the thing. This evolution didn't happen because point guards like Curry and Lillard wanted it. It's because they had to. It's like getting a promotion at your job without a raise. Your responsibility and workload just keep growing. Over the past 30 years, the usage rate of point guards jumped from 18.8% to 21.6%. That's a huge leap, especially when compared to other positions. When you look at recent championship teams, it's clear that the all-star caliber point guard has become essential. Think Jamal Murray, Steph Curry, Jrue Holiday, Kyle Lowry. They were pivotal in their team's title runs. But despite their crucial roles, they've seen very little recognition in terms of individual accolades. Curry is the only one to win a Finals MVP, and that didn't come until his fourth Finals appearance. Without Curry, those Warriors championships are hard to imagine. Yet his role in them often gets overshadowed by the other positions on the team. It's crazy, but despite everything point guards are doing now, they still don't get the recognition they truly deserve. Look at Jrue Holiday and Jamal Murray. Both are critical in their team's title runs, with Jrue bringing elite defense and Jamal stepping up with clutch playmaking and timely scoring. But the individual recognition doesn't always match how pivotal they were. Back in the day, teams like the LeBron-led Heat or the Jordan-led Bulls thrived without a dominant point guard. But today, teams need that all-around floor general, the one who can do it all. Yet the spotlight often ends up on the wing players or bigs who rack up huge stats. In many ways, being a point guard has evolved into the hardest job on the court. You're the one who sets the pace, leads the team, gets others involved. And, oh yeah, you also have to score and make clutch plays when it counts. And while some point guards, like Curry, have finally got the Finals MVP recognition they deserve, many still find themselves overlooked despite their massive impact on their team's success. It's clear, point guards are doing more than ever, but the rewards still don't match the expectations and pressure that comes with the role. Now, when you compare basketball to other sports like football, being a point guard is like being the quarterback of basketball. You touch the ball on almost every play. Your fingertips are all over the offense, and if anything goes wrong, you're the first to be blamed. But here's where it differs. In football, the quarterback, signal caller, often gets most of the acclaim, recognition, awards, and praise. While in the NBA, that's far from the case for point guards. The irony is that even for the point guards who succeed, they still don't always get the credit they deserve. Think about the all-time great point guards: Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton, Pistol Pete Maravich, Oscar Robertson, Gary Payton, Jason Kidd, Allen Iverson, Walt Clyde Frazier, Steve Nash, and Bob Cousy. These names are synonymous with greatness in the NBA. They were electrifying, dynamic, unselfish, and multi-dimensional on both ends of the floor. They had the biggest impact on any game they played in and could dominate with their playmaking, defense, and scoring. But when it comes to the GOAT, the greatest of all-time conversations, they are often overlooked. Even Steph Curry, who has arguably changed the game more than any other player in the last 20 years, isn't universally considered a top 10 player. Why? Despite his 4 championships, 2 MVPs, and status as the best shooter ever, his legacy tends to be more about his shooting than his playmaking as a point guard. Curry's greatness as a floor general, passer, or reader of defenses under pressure is often overshadowed by his shooting prowess. His role as a point guard is almost secondary to his identity as a scoring machine. The only point guard consistently mentioned in the GOAT debate is Magic Johnson. But let's be real, Magic was a 6'9" unicorn who could play all 5 positions. He wasn't your average point guard. He didn't even play in a traditional sense. His size and versatility made him an outlier, not the standard. That's the harsh reality of the point guard position. They're expected to do everything: lead, score, defend, control tempo, hit clutch shots, break the press, minimize turnovers, and make everyone better. And yet, when careers come to an end and legacies are debated, point guards often get overshadowed by the wings and bigs who put up higher scoring numbers or dominate physically. It's like being the director of a big-time movie. You set the scenes, guide the flow, and make all the crucial decisions. And when the award comes in, it's the actor on screen who gets the statue. So whether you're a Steph Curry, a John Stockton, a Kyle Lowry, or anyone else, the margin of error is razor thin. The expectations are sky high, and the recognition, often a mere afterthought. And then there's the sheer physical toil of being a point guard. This position demands more physical effort than almost any other on the court. The point guard will invariably run more than any other player over the course of a game or season. Whether they're pushing the ball up the floor in transition or chasing down an opposing guard in a half-court set, the miles pile up quickly. Not to mention the constant defensive sliding, avoiding screens, and keeping pace with the opposing point guard who's trying to shake free for an open look. It's grueling, mentally and physically, and it demands a level of endurance that few other positions require. And all of this while having to maintain control, speed, and poise at the highest level also takes a mental toll. There's a great deal of anticipation involved in playing point guard. Defenses, teammates, and game situations can change play to play. One moment you're facing a zone defense with 4 bigs on the floor, and the next, you're picked up in a full court press by a lineup of guards. All of this calls for smarts, experience, and boundless energy. It's a never-ending cycle of adjustments, demands, and a pressure to perform at every turn. At the end of the day, being a point guard is a brutal, thankless grind, and yet, point guards do it day in and day out, rarely getting the recognition they deserve. They give everything to the game and carry the load on their shoulders. But when it's all said and done, their sacrifices often go unnoticed. And when they're left off the pedestal in favor of others, it's a harsh reminder that in this game, the ones who make the biggest impact aren't always the ones who get the biggest spotlight. It's a role of sacrifice, an unseen value. And that's exactly what makes it both brutal and beautiful. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a post. Drop a comment below. What's your take on the point guard position? Do you think point guards deserve more respect, or is it all part of the grind?